Update. My sister who called me an unwanted mistake for 25 years tried to steal my grandma's apartment, so my parents mortgaged their house to fund her lawsuit. Hi everyone. Today's story will blow your mind, but really quick, if you enjoy this content, hit that subscribe button. Channel's been a bit quiet lately, and your support keeps it all going. Let's jump in. Original post. I never thought I'd be writing this, but I need to get this off my chest and maybe get some perspective from strangers who aren't emotionally invested in my family's dysfunction. I'm James, 25M, and I've spent my entire life being reminded that I was a mistake. My sister Sarah, 29F, has made sure of that since the day I was born. Our parents, Robert, 53M, and Patricia, 51F, never explicitly said I was unwanted, but they never had to. The evidence was everywhere. In the single bedroom they hastily converted from Dad's office when Mom found out she was pregnant again, in the hand-me-down everything while Sarah got new clothes and toys, in the family photos where I'm always slightly out of frame. Sarah learned early that she could say anything to me without consequences. Mom cried for weeks when she found out about you, she'd whisper when our parents weren't listening. They had to cancel their Europe trip because of you. When I was 7, she convinced me to hide in the basement during my own birthday party, telling me Mom would be happier if I wasn't there. I believed her. I spent 3 hours sitting in the dark while everyone looked for me, and when they found me, I was the one who got in trouble for seeking attention. The disparity in our treatment became more obvious as we got older. Sarah got a car for her 16th birthday, a brand new Honda Civic with a big red bow. For mine, Dad handed me a bus pass and said I should be grateful for public transportation. Sarah's college was fully funded, including a meal plan and off-campus apartment. I got told that community college was more practical for someone like me, and I should get a job if I wanted anything beyond tuition. I worked 3 jobs through college. I lived on ramen and whatever was on sale. I wore the same 5 shirts for 4 years. Meanwhile, Sarah was posting Instagram photos from her study abroad semester in Italy, funded by what my parents called an investment in her future. But here's where things get complicated. Our grandmother, Eleanor, was different. She was Dad's mother, and she saw everything. She'd slip me $20 bills when no one was looking. She'd invite me over for dinner when she knew Sarah was busy. She taught me to play chess, helped me with homework, and told me stories about Dad when he was young, before he became the distant man who could barely look at me. Grandma Eleanor passed away 6 months ago. The reading of her will was unexpected. She left Sarah her jewelry collection and $50,000. She left my parents some bonds and family heirlooms. And she left me her studio apartment in the city, the one she'd lived in before moving to assisted living. It's small, just 600 square feet, but it's in a good neighborhood with appreciating property values. Sarah lost it. Right there in the lawyer's office, she started screaming that there had to be a mistake. Grandma obviously meant that for me, she insisted. I'm the one with a real job. I'm the one who's responsible. James can barely take care of himself. My parents immediately took her side. Mom suggested that perhaps Grandma had been confused toward the end. Dad proposed that I could do the right thing and sign it over to Sarah, who could properly maintain it. I said no. For the first time in my life, I said no to them. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, Sarah has called me every day. Not to talk, but to remind me of my place. Yesterday, she said something that finally broke through my usual numbness. You don't deserve nice things, James. People who were actually wanted deserve nice things. Mistakes should be grateful for whatever scraps they get. I hung up on her. I've never done that before. The apartment is mine. Legally, ethically, mine. Grandma made sure of that. The will is ironclad, the lawyer confirmed it. But my family is treating me like I've stolen something. Like I've taken what rightfully belongs to Sarah simply by existing. I'm sitting in that apartment now. It's quiet, clean, and entirely mine. There are still some of Grandma's things here, her chess set on the coffee table, her paintings on the walls. It feels like a sanctuary, the first space I've ever had that Sarah can't invade, that my parents can't give away to her. But the guilt is eating me alive. 25 years of conditioning is hard to break. Part of me wonders if they're right, if I really don't deserve this. If I should just give in like I always have. I don't know what to do. I don't even know what I'm asking for. I just needed to tell someone who might understand that being the unwanted child doesn't mean you deserve to be unwanted forever. Update 1, 2 weeks later. I wanted to thank everyone who responded to my original post. Your comments gave me strength I didn't know I needed. I've read every single one, especially during the moments when I feel weak. Things have escalated. Last Tuesday, I was at work when my neighbor texted me. Sarah was at my apartment with two men in contractor uniforms. They were measuring the exterior walls and taking photos. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, asked if I was planning renovations. I left work immediately. When I arrived, Sarah was in the lobby with the building super, showing him paint samples. She told him she was my sister, true, and that we were co-planning improvements to maximize the property value, absolutely false. The contractors were from a high-end renovation company. She'd scheduled a full consultation without my knowledge or consent. "James," she said brightly when she saw me, performing for the audience. Perfect timing. I was just explaining our plans to modernize the space. I stood there, keys in my hand, trying to process the audacity. The super looked confused. The contractors looked expectant. Sarah looked triumphant. "There are no plans," I said quietly. "This is my apartment. I haven't authorized any renovations." Sarah's smile tightened. "Don't be silly. We discussed this. Remember? About making the space more suitable for someone who'll actually use it properly." "We didn't discuss anything. You need to leave." The contractors started packing up, recognizing a domestic dispute when they saw one. The super mumbled something about needing written authorization for any changes and disappeared. But Sarah didn't move. "You're embarrassing yourself," she hissed once we were alone. "And me. These are the best contractors in the city. Do you have any idea how hard it was to get this appointment?" "I didn't ask you to get this appointment." "Of course you didn't. You never ask for help, even when you desperately need it. Look at this place, James. Grandma's old furniture, her dated decorations. You're living in a shrine because you can't make decisions for yourself." That stung more than I expected. I love Grandma's things. They make me feel connected to the one person who truly saw me. "It's been 2 weeks," I said. "I haven't even finished processing her death, and you're trying to gut her home?" "It's not her home anymore. And it shouldn't be yours either." Before I could respond, my phone rang. It was Mom. "James, don't be difficult," she said without preamble. "Sarah is trying to help you. She has experience with property management from her job. You're being ungrateful." "She's trespassing, Mom." "She's your sister. Family doesn't trespass." I wanted to laugh. Or cry. Maybe both. Family doesn't trespass? My entire life has been my family trespassing on my boundaries, my feelings, my existence. If she shows up again without my permission, I'm calling the police." Mom gasped. "You wouldn't dare. Try me." I hung up and turned to Sarah, who was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. "Get out," I said. "And don't come back unless I invite you." She left, but not before delivering her parting shot. "Mom and Dad are right about you. You were a mistake, and now you're making another one. When you fail, and you will fail, don't come crying to us." That night, I changed the locks. The locksmith raised an eyebrow when I asked for the most secure option available, but didn't ask questions. I also installed a Ring doorbell camera. The expense hurt my carefully balanced budget, but the peace of mind was worth it. 2 days later, the camera caught Sarah trying her old key at 6 a.m. The look of fury when it didn't work was satisfying. I saved the video. Dad called that afternoon. "Your mother is in tears," he said. "Sarah just wanted to help you improve the property value. You're being selfish and short-sighted. Sarah wanted to take over my apartment. You know this, Dad." There was a long pause. "She's the responsible one, James. She's always been the one we could count on. You've always needed more help. Maybe it would be better if—" I interrupted him. "If what? If I just gave her my inheritance? If I disappeared again?" "I spent my 7th birthday hiding in a basement because Sarah told me to." "I'm done hiding." "You're being dramatic. That was years ago. Last week, she told me I don't deserve nice things because I wasn't wanted. Was that years ago too?" Another pause. "She didn't mean it that way." "How did she mean it, Dad?" He didn't answer. He never does when confronted with the truth. "I've started therapy. My first appointment was yesterday. When I told the therapist about my family, she asked me a simple question: what would happen if you just stopped?" "Stopped what?" "Stopped trying to earn their love. Stopped accepting their version of who you are. What would happen?" I'm still thinking about that question. Update 2, 1 month later. The situation has exploded beyond anything I could have imagined. Sarah has been escalating her campaign. It started with social media. She posted a long Facebook rant about family members who forget where they came from and the importance of respecting natural family hierarchy. She didn't name me directly, but all our mutual acquaintances knew. I started getting messages from cousins I haven't spoken to in years, telling me I should do the right thing and respect my elder sister. Then came the letter from a lawyer. Not a formal legal document, but a friendly suggestion that I consider the family's best interests and transfer the property to Sarah, who would ensure it remains a family asset. The letterhead was from a firm where one of Dad's golf buddies is a partner. It had no legal weight, but the message was clear. They were rallying their resources. I forwarded it to my own lawyer, Catherine, whom I'd hired after the locksmith incident. She laughed. Actually laughed. "This is intimidation tactics 101, she said. "And poorly done at that. Save everything. Document everything. This will help us if they actually try something." I didn't think they would. I was wrong. Last Monday, I came home to find my parents' car in my building's lot. They were in the lobby with Sarah and a man I didn't recognize, who turned out to be a real estate attorney named Marcus. The building super was there too, looking uncomfortable. "We need to talk," Dad said. "About what?" Marcus stepped forward. "About your grandmother's mental state in her final months. We have concerns about her capacity when she made her will." My blood went cold. She was completely lucid. "That's debatable," Sarah interjected. "She was saying all sorts of strange things toward the end. Paranoid things. She even told me once that she thought Mom and Dad were treating you unfairly. Clearly delusional." The casualness with which she admitted the truth while calling it delusion was breathtaking. Catherine had warned me this might happen. I pulled out my phone and started recording. "Are you formally contesting the will?" I asked Marcus. He shifted uncomfortably. "We're exploring options." "Based on what evidence?" "Family testimony about Eleanor's declining mental state." "Do you have medical records? Testimony from her doctors? Any actual evidence beyond family members who stand to gain from overturning the will?" Marcus glanced at my parents. "We're gathering documentation." "So, no. You have no evidence. You're harassing me in my own building based on nothing but my sister's jealousy." Sarah stepped forward. "How dare you?" "No," I said, surprising myself with the firmness in my voice. "How dare you? Grandma was the only person in this family who ever gave a damn about me, and now you're trying to destroy her memory because you can't stand that she left me something." "She left you the most valuable asset." Sarah screamed. "I'm the oldest. I'm the successful one. I'm the one who was planned." There it was. Out in the open. In front of witnesses. Mom tried damage control. "Sarah doesn't mean." "Yes, I do." Sarah was beyond controlling now. "We were happy before you came along, James. Everything was perfect. Then you happened, and suddenly there wasn't enough money, enough time, enough anything. You took my parents from me. The least you can do is give me what should have been mine." The lobby was silent. The super was staring at his shoes. Marcus looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Dad finally spoke. "We should go." They left, but not before Mom turned to me with tears in her eyes. "We did our best with you, James. We really did. It's not our fault you were so difficult. Difficult. That's what they called it when I cried as a baby. When I asked for help with homework. When I wanted to join family activities. Difficult. That night, I called Grandma's estate lawyer. He told me something that changed everything. Your grandmother updated her will 6 months before she passed, he said. She was quite specific about the apartment going to you. She said, and I quote, James needs a place where he can exist without apology. She also had a psychiatric evaluation done at the time to prevent exactly this kind of challenge. She knew your family, Mr. Mitchell. She knew them very well. I cried for an hour after that call. 3 days ago, I received formal notice. They're actually doing it. My parents are funding Sarah's legal challenge to the will. They're claiming undue influence and diminished capacity. The fact that I spent more time with Grandma in her final years is being twisted into something sinister. Catherine says their case is weak, but that doesn't mean it won't be expensive and emotionally draining to fight. She also warned me that they might try to make my life difficult in other ways to pressure me into settling. She was right. Yesterday, my employer received a call from someone claiming to be concerned about my mental stability and my ability to perform my job. Fortunately, my boss knows me well enough to recognize harassment when he sees it, but the fact that they went after my livelihood. I'm done feeling guilty. I'm done wondering if I deserve good things. Grandma knew exactly what she was doing when she left me this apartment. She gave me more than property. She gave me a foundation to build a life free from my family's poison. The war has begun, and for the first time in my life, I'm not backing down. Update 3, 6 weeks later. I need to update you all on what's become a complete nightmare. The legal challenge is moving forward. My parents have taken out a second mortgage on their house to fund Sarah's lawsuit. When my Aunt Jennifer called to tell me this, I couldn't believe it. They're risking their retirement for this? I asked. Sarah convinced them it's an investment, Jennifer said. That when she wins, she'll sell the apartment and share the profits with them. And if she loses? According to your father, that's not possible. They believe you'll cave before it gets to court. You always have before. She was right. I always had. But something fundamental has shifted in me. Maybe it was Grandma's words about existing without apology. Maybe it was therapy. Maybe it was just 25 years of being treated like an unwanted burden finally reaching a breaking point. The depositions started last week. They brought in character witnesses, family friends who've known us for years. It was illuminating hearing how our family appeared from the outside. Mrs. Davidson, our former neighbor, testified that Sarah was clearly the favored child, but that it was understandable given the family's circumstances. When pressed about what circumstances, she mentioned that my parents had been planning to start a business when Mom got pregnant with me. They had to put everything on hold, she said. Sarah told me all about it when she was younger. Mr. Rodriguez, Dad's colleague, testified that Dad often spoke about Sarah's achievements at work but rarely mentioned me. I didn't even know he had a son until James was in high school, he admitted. But the most damaging testimony came from Dr. Patricia Huang, Grandma's physician for the last 3 years of her life. My family's lawyer, Marcus, tried to get her to say Grandma showed signs of confusion or dementia. Dr. Huang destroyed their case in 10 minutes. Mrs. Eleanor Mitchell was one of my sharpest patients, she stated firmly. She played chess competitively until 2 months before her death. She managed her own finances, read voraciously, and could recall details from conversations months prior. Any suggestion of diminished capacity is not supported by medical evidence. Marcus tried another angle. But surely, at her age, she might have been susceptible to influence? Dr. Huang's response was perfect. Mrs. Mitchell once told me she was leaving her studio apartment to her grandson because, and I quote, "He's the only one in that family who knows what it's like to be treated as less than. He needs a place where he can be more than they allowed him to be." That sounds like a woman who knew exactly what she was doing. Sarah's testimony was scheduled for yesterday. She came dressed in a conservative suit, trying to project responsibility and stability. Marcus walked her through a carefully rehearsed narrative about Grandma's concerning behavior and my manipulative tendencies. Then Catherine cross-examined her. "Miss Mitchell, you testified that your grandmother was showing signs of confusion. Can you provide specific examples?" "She would say things that didn't make sense, like claiming my parents favored me over James." "And you believe that was delusional?" "Of course. My parents love us both equally." Catherine pulled out her laptop. "I'd like to play a recording from 2 months ago. It was the lobby confrontation." Sarah's voice filled the room. "I'm the one who was planned." Sarah went pale. Catherine continued. "Would you also like to explain this text message you sent to James?" She read it aloud. "You don't deserve nice things. People who were actually wanted deserve nice things." That was taken out of context. What context makes that acceptable? Sarah looked to our parents for help. Mom was crying. Dad was staring at the table. "Would you like me to read more texts? I have 3 years' worth. Or would you prefer I play the voicemail where you told James that your parents wasted resources on him that should have gone to you?" Marcus objected, but the damage was done. Then came the moment that changed everything. Catherine asked Sarah one simple question. "Do you believe your brother deserves to inherit anything from your grandmother?" Sarah straightened up. "No. He doesn't. He's been nothing but a burden on this family since the day he was born. My parents had plans, dreams. They had to sacrifice everything because of him. The least he can do is give back something to make up for everything he cost us." The court reporter's fingers paused over her keys. Even Marcus looked shocked. Catherine turned to my parents. "Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell, do you agree with your daughter's assessment?" Mom started to speak, stopped, then finally said, "We did our best with what we were given." "That's not what I asked. Do you believe your son is a burden who owes you compensation for being born?" The silence stretched out. Finally, Dad spoke. "We never asked for a second child." And there it was. 25 years of subtext made text. On the record. Under oath. After the deposition, I sat in my car for an hour, just processing. Then I drove to Grandma's, my apartment. I sat in her favorite chair, looking at the chess set she'd taught me on, and I finally understood why she'd fought so hard to give me this. It wasn't just an apartment. It was proof that someone in my family had seen me as worthy of investment, worthy of love, worthy of a future. She couldn't change my past, but she could give me a foundation for a different future. This morning, something unexpected happened. Jennifer called again. "I've been thinking," she said. "I have some photos and videos from family gatherings over the years. Videos where Sarah's treatment of you is clearly documented, including that birthday where you hid. I filmed some of it, thinking it was a game. Looking back now, knowing what I know, would these help?" "Why would you do that?" I asked, genuinely shocked. No one in the family had ever stood up for me before. "Because I've watched this happen for 25 years and said nothing. Because I told myself it wasn't my business. Because I was a coward." She paused. "And because Eleanor asked me to. Before she died, she made me promise that if they came after you, I'd finally do the right thing." The videos are damning. Sarah, at 12, telling 7-year-old me that Mom wished I'd never been born, while Mom stands in the background, clearly hearing but not intervening. Sarah, accidentally, breaking my toys while my parents laugh it off. Sarah loudly announcing at my high school graduation party that it didn't really count, because it was just public school, not the prep school she went to. Catherine says with this evidence, we can potentially countersue for intentional infliction of emotional distress. I don't want money from them. I just want them to stop. But Sarah isn't backing down. Yesterday, she posted on social media that I'm stealing her birthright, and tagged extended family members, trying to shame me publicly. The post backfired when Jennifer commented with one of the videos, saying, "This is how you've treated your birthright his entire life." The post was deleted within an hour, but screenshots had already spread through our extended family. I'm getting messages from relatives I haven't heard from in years, many apologizing for not seeing what was happening. It's vindicating and exhausting in equal measure. Final update, 3 months later. This will be my last update. The war is over. 2 weeks after my last post, Catherine filed our countersuit. Not just for emotional distress, but for harassment, defamation, and attempted fraud, the fake concern call to my employer. She also filed a restraining order request based on Sarah's repeated attempts to access my apartment and the escalating social media harassment. The restraining order hearing was last month. Sarah showed up with our parents and Marcus. I came with Catherine and, surprisingly, Jennifer and 3 other relatives who'd reached out after seeing the videos. Sarah tried to paint herself as a concerned sister trying to help her troubled brother. Then Catherine presented the evidence, the Ring doorbell footage of Sarah trying to break in at various hours, the contractor ambush, the social media posts, the voicemails that grew increasingly threatening. The judge granted the restraining order. Sarah has to stay 500 feet away from me and my apartment. She cannot contact me directly or through third parties. The look on her face when the judge read the order was a mixture of shock and rage I'll never forget. But the real end came 2 weeks ago. Marcus withdrew from the case. He cited irreconcilable differences in legal strategy, but Jennifer heard from Dad's golf buddy that Marcus told him the case was unwinnable and unconscionable. Without their discounted legal representation, my parents couldn't afford to continue. They had to drop the challenge to the will. Yesterday was supposed to be our original court date. Instead, I got a certified letter. Mom and Dad are selling their house. The second mortgage, combined with the legal fees they've already paid, has destroyed their retirement plans. They're moving to a smaller place in Arizona, where the cost of living is lower. Sarah called Jennifer, she can't call me because of the restraining order, and blamed me for ruining the family. Jennifer told her, the family was ruined long before James inherited that apartment. He just stopped pretending it wasn't. I haven't spoken to my parents since the deposition. I don't know if I ever will again. The last message I have from them is a letter Mom sent through Jennifer. It said, "James, we never meant for things to go this far. We did love you, in our way. It just wasn't the way you needed. I'm sorry we couldn't be the parents you deserved. I hope the apartment brings you the peace we couldn't give you." Mom. No mention of the lawsuit. No acknowledgement of Sarah's behavior. No real accountability. But also, for the first time, an admission that they failed me. It's not enough, but it's something. Sarah, from what I hear, is spinning this as me destroying the family out of spite. She's told anyone who'll listen that I manipulated Grandma and turned the family against her. Most people who've seen the evidence aren't buying it, but she'll probably never stop believing it. She needs me to be the villain because accepting she's been the aggressor would mean confronting 29 years of cruel behavior. I'm okay with being her villain if it means I get to be my own hero. The apartment is truly mine now, legally and emotionally. I've started making small changes, nothing like Sarah's renovation plans, just personal touches. I bought new curtains. I hung some of my own art alongside Grandma's paintings. I got a cat, something I was never allowed to have growing up. I named her Eleanor. Therapy has been life-changing. I'm learning to recognize that my family's treatment wasn't my fault. That being unplanned doesn't make you unwanted by everyone. That Sarah's cruelty came from her own insecurity. She was so afraid of sharing love that she made sure there was none left for me. I'm also learning to set boundaries, to say no, to exist without apology, just like Grandma wanted. Last week, I found a letter from Grandma tucked inside the chess set. The lawyer says she must have hidden it there before moving to assisted living, knowing I'd find it eventually. It reads, "My dear James, if you're reading this, then you've inherited more than an apartment. You've inherited your freedom. I watched your family dim your light for years, and I was too much of a coward to intervene directly. This apartment is my apology and my gift. Your parents loved you the only way they knew how, which wasn't enough. Sarah fears you because you survived what should have broken you. You have a strength she'll never understand. This apartment is yours, legally and morally. Don't let them take it from you. Don't let them convince you that you deserve less because you arrived second. You were not a mistake. You were a surprise. And sometimes the best things in life are the ones we didn't plan for. Live well, my dear boy. Live without apology. All my love, Grandma Eleanor." I cried for hours after reading it. Then I framed it and hung it above the chess set. Jennifer and I have grown closer through this. She's become the family I choose, rather than the family I was born into. We have dinner once a week, and she's teaching me to cook, another thing I was never taught growing up. My boss, impressed by how I handled the harassment, offered me a promotion. I'm making enough now to not just survive but actually save money. I'm thinking about taking a vacation, my first real vacation, not just time off work spent hiding in my apartment. I've also started dating someone, Michael. He's kind and patient and doesn't think I'm difficult when I have needs. When I told him this whole story, he said, "Your family's loss is my gain." It's still hard to believe I deserve that kind of love, but I'm learning. To those who commented on my original post telling me not to give in, thank you. Your voices helped drown out 25 years of conditioning. You helped me believe I deserved to fight for myself. To anyone reading this who sees themselves in my story, you deserve good things. You deserve love. You deserve to exist without apology. It doesn't matter if you were planned or wanted by the people who raised you. You can plan and want yourself. You can choose your own family. You can build your own home, literally or figuratively. The apartment is quiet now. No angry phone calls. No surprise visits. No constant anxiety about what Sarah or my parents will do next. Just me, Eleanor the cat, and the freedom to exist. Grandma's chess set sits on the coffee table, ready for a game. I'm teaching Michael to play. Sometimes, when the afternoon light hits just right, I can almost see her sitting across from me, smiling, proud that I finally learned the most important lesson she tried to teach me. Sometimes the best move isn't to sacrifice yourself for others' comfort. Sometimes the best move is to protect your king, hold your ground, and play to win. I'm winning now. Not against my family. That war is over. I'm winning at life, one move at a time, in my own apartment, on my own terms, without apology. Thank you all for following this journey. I'm finally home.